right, we're back here for our fourth and final segment on the GSMC Baseball podcast. And that's just going to be talking about what I usually talk about for our fourth segment, news around the league. These are signings or news I thought was important, but maybe it's just I couldn't really talk about for an entire segment, and I thought it was more fitted to put into one. So again, these are very important things that I think are important to the league, but all kind of put into one segment. So we're going to talk about it. So first thing we're going to be talking about is news that broke early this morning. I made a short about it, so if you want to check that out on the channel, please go ahead. Always helps us. And that is Tim Anderson. The long-held rumors about him going to the Marlins are finally true, as he has signed a one-year, $5 million contract with the Marlins to be their starting shortstop every day. So, obviously, like I said, we knew about this for a long time. We kind of knew over the past week that it was looking like Tim Anderson and the Marlins were going to be a fit. It was kind of just all the rumors that were going on with them. It makes sense on paper as well. We're going to dive deep into that, but we kind of knew Tim Anderson and the Marlins, sorry about that, made a lot of sense and was something that was kind of bound to happen when you just listen to everyone talking about it, especially Ken Rosenthal. They also talked about Urshela to the Marlins, but obviously that didn't happen. We're going to talk about that next, actually, after Anderson, so stay tuned for that. But, just going off the fit for Tim Anderson here, I love it. I said it before a few times in shorts and videos and segments, but I love the fit for Tim Anderson with Miami. I think the Marlins needed a shortstop. I don't think that. They needed a shortstop. They definitely did. And they are, not under a lot of pressure for this year. They're kind of just there. They kind of just exist. And I think Anderson going to a team like this with his low pressure, he gets his starting role back with the team. Gets him maybe get his value back up. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense, like I said, for Tim Anderson, but also for the Marlins as well. If he's bad, just move on. It's 1 year, $5 million. You can cut him at the deadline, DFA him, do whatever. And no harm, no foul. But if he's good, which you're obviously hoping he's good, you get maybe a long-term piece at shortstop. You get a guy that you can put there for a long time. Kind of build around in a way, give a big contract to. So I think it makes sense. Just the signing about that. So again, I love the fit. And if he is good, again, you can not only build around him, but if you want to say, okay, we don't want to give him a big contract again, we can just trade him. You probably can get a lot at the deadline for him. A big bat like that. Guy's proven he can play shortstop. So I think it makes a lot of sense to the Marlins in that regard. I just think it's a great fit for the player, for the team, just everyone here. There is one downside I kind of think, which is just defense. Obviously, we know of Tim Anderson as not being the best defender, and he's now going to a team where there are also not good defenders in the infield. You have Luis Arias, who's just not that good at defense, but he can hit the ball, so it doesn't really matter. Same with Jake Berger, not a great defender. Him and Anderson obviously played together in Chicago for a few years, but that's besides the point. So I think it's just something kind of minor. Again, we don't expect the Marlins to compete, and so I'm not really going to worry about their infield defense and what's going to go on with that, but it's something I think notable. I think, I'm confident Tim Anderson can rebound from his year in Chicago last year. He had a lot of off-the-field stuff going on. The White Sox aren't really a winning environment. I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, prove to everyone that he can be the Tim Anderson of old, the guy who bat flips all the time, who won a batting title, who is one of the better shortstops in baseball. I'm very confident in him that he can do it, and I'm rooting for him. I think it's a good fit with the Marlins, and I'm happy the market's moving. Maybe him signing can be a wake up call to other teams that, hey, let's get this going. It's about to start. The game's on right now, first game of the season. So let's get the season going, and let's get the market moving. So Next, we're going to talk about another guy who was rumored to the Marlins, did not sign there, of course, and that is Gio Urshela. Gio Urshela signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal with Detroit. I love this move for the Tigers. Absolutely love it. They kind of came out of nowhere. We heard about Gio in his market for a little while now. We heard it was the Mets and the Yankees, really. Then we heard the Marlins were interested. Then we heard, the Red Sox as well. But then the Tigers come out of nowhere and sign him to a really cheap contract. I understand he was hurt all of last year, but I expect him to get maybe like $5 million, something like that, instead 1.5. To me, that's a steal by the Tigers and a great deal. I think the Tigers can be really good, personally. I think they have a really good team. I'm not sure where they're going to fit in the NL Central. The AL Central, but it's probably going to be high. I think them, the Royals, and the Twins, be the top teams. So I think this Urshela signing helps it. I don't think their lineup. I think their lineup was pretty good, and I think if there was a question mark, it was mainly at third base. Catcher, you have Jake Rogers. First base, Spencer Torkelson. Second base, third base, Gio Urshela. I can't remember the second baseman is right now. That's my fault. I don't know why I can't remember that. But, shortstop, of course, you have Javi Baez. Outfield, Parker Meadows, Riley Green, Mark Canha, who might play outfield DH. Obviously, he was acquired in the offseason. So, I think they have a really good team. I think this only adds to it. Colt Keith is their second baseman. I don't know why I blanked on that. He's one of the top prospects in baseball. Got a huge extension. Going to be a big part of that Tigers team. It only makes that lineup better. I don't know why I blanked on that. Sorry. I think adding Urshela to third base really solidifies that position for them and gives them a really nice team and well-rounded lineup. Before they had Andy Ibanez and Zach McKinstry there. Fine players, I guess, but no one that you really want to start. And I think signing Urshela, especially for as cheap of a contract as it is a great move. And it's buy low as well. I really, really like it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So I think it's a great move for the Tigers. I'm glad they're trying to win, and I think again it's a great fit for the team, great fit for the player. Going to Detroit, where they need a third baseman. They're a younger team. He can maybe be a veteran. There's a lot of teams interested in them, a lot of smart organizations. So I think that bodes well for him. Just a minor league signing a little bit. Joely Rodriguez, former Met. Had to mention it. He was good with us. So kind of nice personality as well. Sat on the rocks in the outfield in Coors Field and drank a Red Bull and got kicked out for it. So was kind of a cool guy with the Mets. So I always root for him. Signed back with the Red Sox after having a fine year there last year. Just good bullpen depth for the Red Sox in the minor leagues. Red Sox bullpen is probably one of their stronger entities as a team. They have Kenley, of course, who is hurt, but still a good player. Still a good closer. Still knows what he's doing in the back of that bullpen. And I think Joely Rodriguez is just good depth for them, and a good addition as well. I thought it was good depth, a good move to bring him back. Can't have enough bullpen arms, especially lefty ones, especially on minor league contracts that are cheap. So I thought it was a good move by the Red Sox to bring him back, solidify that depth a little bit, and keep moving for the offseason. Of course, I'm sure if I talk about a Red Sox signing, Red Sox fan rather them sign a guy like Jordan Montgomery, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Joely Rodriguez is the best you can get right now, so got to deal with it. Something fun here I wanted to mention before we wrap up the show, which is going to happen in a few minutes. Albert Pujols, it came out that he is going to be the manager of a winter ball team in Lidom, which is the Dominican winter ball league, which is where a lot of Dominican players and Latino, Hispanic players go as well to play in the winter, play in the off season to kind of get reps and to also to make sure they don't get rusty, and also some players who are kind of trying to fight their way back from major league contract play there. I know Robinson Cano's played there a few times trying to look for a contract. Hasn't really worked, but I think it's an example of that. So I think it's really cool that he is going to be a manager. I mentioned it before when I talked about Corey Kluber going back to the Yankees on one of these segments, that players going back to work for teams, major league or international, is always super fun. They know what they're doing. I always want a former major league player in and around the team. And Albert Pujols is a great baseball mind, obviously a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest hitters in his prime of all time. And I think it's just really cool that he's going to be a manager now, that he's going to be managing this Lidun team. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, by the way, but and that I think a lot of players are going to want to go to this team and play for them now to get the advice of a former great player like Albert Pujols was, and just have experience from him. Say you played under Albert Pujols, and that Albert Pujols was your manager. If I was playing, if I was one of these players, to me, I'd want to do that. That's super cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to play under Albert Pujols? So I think it's a great move by the team and Winter Ball League to bring him in and have him as a manager, and have him manage the team and be a mentor to young players trying to fight for their spot in and have baseball as a career. So just to recap a little bit, we talked about Tim Anderson to the Marlins. I like the signing a lot. I thought it was a good fit for team and player, and it was something that had been rumored for a little bit, and I'm glad it finally came to fruition and finally happened, and the market's finally moving. Gio Urshela to the Tigers, I thought was a pretty great move by the Tigers to buy low on a third baseman, and I think he's going to be really good, and he solidifies that third base position that was kind of iffy for the Tigers before, and I just thought it was a great move. Julio Rodriguez, fine depth with the Red Sox. Always need more bullpen depth, always need more lefty relievers, so good move. And Albert Pujols going to manage a winter ball team. I like it, and I think it was a good move by Jamaican Winter Ball to have him there and have him manage. One more news that I saw before we leave is that Colton Wong, who played with the Mariners and Dodgers last year, is his market starting to heat up after the Tim Anderson and Gio Urshela signings. So I think that's something to watch. Colton Wong obviously did not have a good season with the Mariners, but went to the Dodgers like the Dodgers always do. They kind of fix him. So maybe a team buys low on either a split contract or a minor league contract. Try to get him to make the team out of spring training, and either win a bench spot or a platoon second base role. So I think that could be something interesting to watch. Maybe a team that lost out on Tim Anderson or Gio Urshela. So that's our show for you today. Those are the 4 segments. Thank you so much for watching. To all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. It is really appreciated with how much you guys have been supporting the show with my first week here. Tomorrow I'm going to be going on the GSMC football podcast. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be at 10:30 to 11 for me. I'm going to be doing 2 segments. So if you want to watch that, please go ahead. You can follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that. Keep up with updates. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. It really is appreciated. And goodbye. Have a good day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to